So, Mr. Sen, Senco's craftsmanship is a hallmark of Indian jewelry. How can SAJEX 2025 showcase this to tap Saudi Arabia's growing USD 8.3 billion luxury market, balancing affordability and premium appeal?
See, Saudi Arabia is one of the largest consumer markets, especially when it comes to gem and jewelry for the Gulf region. And Senco, which is based out of Kolkata, and Calcutta is the hub of jewelry, craftsmanship, karigari, handcrafted jewelry, and certain products that have been made in Calcutta have always been in huge demand at this particular country of Saudi Arabia. But unfortunately, in this global competitive situation and scenario, we have seen that jewelry from Turkey or jewelry from other parts of the world have been able to capture a large market share, while that of Indian jewelry has been a little bit on a downturn. And I think that this subjects is going to help our country, India, our industrial, the gem and jewelry sector, and also the jewelers from Saudi Arabia to come together to collaborate and to look at opportunities and to promote our jewelry as well as to help them with their growth in this growing scenario.
How can Senco collaborate with Saudi designer under Vision 2030 to blend Indian gemstone expertise with Arab aesthetics, creating globally competitive jewelry collections?
See, India has been working on a vision which is to be the jewelers to the world, because the skilled craftsmanship and the skilled artisans that have been there in our country for so many years has been in a very state of evolution. And I think that our designers from Saudi Arabia can actually have a very strong infrastructure in the form of our Indian gem and jewelry sector to make their dreams come true. And along with that, once we strongly collaborate and we can work together, I'm sure that the two countries, the two companies of various, businesses of the two countries can come together and similarly form a strong infrastructure in Saudi Arabia themselves.
And India's EFTA, FTA, and Saudi's retail FTA push open new doors. How can Senco harness e-commerce to reach Indian craftsmanship with Saudi consumers, balancing accessibility and exclusivity?
So see, when it comes to e-commerce and online delivery, our government has been working on various schemes and processes to make things easier, and the ease of doing business has improved a lot. And if the free trade pact and the opening up of the economy, especially with gem and jewelry, can happen in Saudi Arabia, I'm sure we can see a huge young population of this particular country, which is very different from their senior generation. And this young population is looking at modern, lightweight, sleek jewelry. And I think that if we can work together, our exports to this country can also increase in a very big way.
Sustainability is key in Saudi's luxury market. How is Senco adapting ethical practices in India's gem jewelry supply chain to meet these demands while strengthening bilateral trade ties?
See, when it comes to sustainability, there are three parts to it. One is on the environment side, one is on the social side, and one is on the governance side. And whatever business we do, it has to be something which is not a short term thinking but a long term thinking. When it comes to the environment, I think that in India we are seeing with the high gold price, we're using a lot of recycled gold. We also have launched lab grown diamond jewelry in our country as a sub brand in the form of Senes. So I think that these are small steps in which we are ensuring that the practices that we do are environment friendly and sustainable. Saudi themselves are looking at diversifying from their oil economy into other form of energy, and I think that maybe Senco will not directly, be a part of that evolution, but as a jewelry industry player, if they have any kind of such, initiative like the way we have done it in many of our stores and in working out in factory of using solar power, we could actually show the way to our jewelers in Saudi on how to do those. That is on the environment part. On the social part of it, we are working with the karigars, which is from that form of society which is still in a process of development. And I think that preservation of art and culture has been in the DNA of Senco. And I think what Saudi also wants in this global scenario is how they can preserve their art, their culture in their jewelry. And I think that mindset matches, and we can help them to do that. And finally, governance part. Being a public listed company in our country, there is a lot of best practices in terms of compliance, in terms of governance, in terms of the way management is being run. And I think that knowledge sharing can happen with the industry players of Saudi Arabia, with the government, and together we can make this gem and jewelry industry of Saudi Arabia much more attractive and a great growing industry.
Certification and tariff barriers challenge India's Saudi jewelry trade. What balanced solutions can Senco propose to GGEPC and Saudi authorities to boost exports and consumer confidence?
See, these tariffs and all, these regulations that are there, India has to look at diversifying their markets, export markets, beyond certain core markets. And I think that if Saudi and India work together and have some form of understanding, I think Saudi Arabia can also relax a few rules. They are still one of the highest tariffs and taxation in form of jewelry, which I think is a hindrance, because if a economy needs to be more compliant, then the first step that they need to do is, yes, create a strong backend system and reduce the taxes, so that more and more people feel that it is not that expensive to follow the compliance. And I think that Saudi Arabia have seen the India story, from what India was in the 1990s to what India is now, and we can be a great friend and a great guide to this country.
With India's gold jewelry exports to Saudi Arabia up 26%, how can Senco use SAJEX to counter global headwinds like US tariffs, ensuring steady growth in this high potential market?
Yes, because this country, Saudi Arabia, is a growing country, and I think Senco and the gem and jewelry industry has been focusing on, say, the Western markets. But in this market, where there is a huge demand, we have to also build our made in India jewelry a desirable product in the Gulf markets. Somewhere we feel that when the way Italian jewelry or other country jewelry is desired, is respected, we have become more of a mass production, and that desire is lesser. We need to work on the marketing, brand building, work on collaboration, and make this market a very big market, build infrastructure. Using this as a base, we can then look at exporting to other Gulf markets and become a part of the ecosystem of Gulf. I think that is how we can diversify and reduce our risk of focusing on certain markets only, and then make our export market a larger base.
With such hosting 200 plus Indian exhibitors, how will Senco build logistic partnership and skill sharing programs with Saudi firms to drive mutual growth for artisans in both countries?
See, Saudi has the design base. Saudi has the need and the want to build factories and infrastructure. And Senco, coming from the country of India and Calcutta, we have the skill. And I think that if there are joint ventures, collaborations, opportunities of coming together with the Saudi companies, I think the knowledge sharing and technology sharing can happen, so that the local pair of Saudi can also grow and learn, and Senco and other gem and jewelry industry players from India can also be a part of the wave of growth in Saudi Arabia.
And ahead of festival season, what kind of demand you foresee, and how many stores you open up, and how many you plan at the end of this fiscal, and the investment plans that you have lined up for this?
So we have already invested around 7 to 800 crores over the past, from this particular calendar year of January till now. We have opened 10 to 12 stores already, and around 5 6 are in the pipeline. And last year we had done a turnover of 6,400 crores, and we are hoping that this particular year we shall clock a growth of 20%. So the Q1 was very good. We had a 30% growth year on year. The Q2 has been a kind of slow, so we are expecting around a 15 to 16% growth YTD for as we end Q2. But all in all, I think we're expecting a 20% growth for the year, and this year's target of 20 store openings. So we should be doing about 16 to 18 stores for sure. And going forward, this sustainable growth of 18 to 20% should continue to happen. Diamond jewelry has been growing in a much faster rate than gold jewelry because of the high gold price. And I think that this journey of growth, gold prices are on upward trend, but consumers are keen. They will get impacted with the volumes, But value-wise, I think the gem and jewelry industry will continue to see a very positive growth.
Thank you, Mr. Suvankar Sen.